What's up to another episode of the podcast of the Trailer Park Boy, episode 3. Chicken. Super cool episode. Right away, they're seeing that the public, they love him. They're seeing how popular they are. The people are really enjoying the trailer. The podcast on episode 3 is when they start to realize that it's pretty popular. Ricky complains about being called a dumbass on the internet, but he's acting like a dumbass. So kind of cool. He says he ties up his hand so he doesn't get drunk. We're gonna get something a little similar in episode 4, but right now it's super cool. He ties up his end like a sausage, so it's kind of cool. Ricky's always a fuck up. Something I love. Something it's relatable. You feel bad for Ricky for being so stupid, but it's a character. Again, it's a character, and it's something that we can relate to. We all done dumb shit. Some one person just happened to do a lot of them, right? We got oh, right away, it's crazy because those episodes happen every week, so they cannot always come with a narrative. So they start right away with what is going on. They're talking about the drones. I was gonna pilot. Vicky's like, oh, bird are inside piloting them. The drone, how they're gonna take over the world. The drone back then were a big thing. A lot of people had drones. There were no regulation. It was just like you could spy on people. A lot of people made some sex tape with that, and it's scary. Drone is talking about how the birds are gonna take over, but and I stupid, but it's all controlled by AI. It brings to a conversation how AI is gonna take over. They're talking about AI back then. This is in 2018. We're seeing the power of AI right now with the deep fake, with the story generate, the image generate, how AI is moving forward quickly. They were talking about in 2018 saying, hey, it's gonna come soon. In 2023, we're seeing it. So I thought it was super cool that we're getting this. I thought it was again amazing that they're showing that, yo, this is quicker than that's totally expected. I said 2018, no, it was 2015. I apologize. Right, we have the we're talking about a DJ Nokovic who was complaining about people smoking weed in their stands. Now we know that weed is completely illegal, so there's not should be an issue. But then what we're seeing that back then, like, yo, it's funny because he's a tennis player and he's complaining about drugs. And the show, the boys are super pro drugs, so it's kind of funny that we're having a different perspective. And I love that it's a Trailer Park Boys. It's funny that they're talking about drugs because this is something that the show is about. We got the and it's funny because Ricky's in charge of the of finding the subject, so we know Ricky's a bit fucked. So him coming up with subject is always a funny thing. The Russian burning cheese. They don't talk a lot about it, and I did manage to get some information. Again, it was 9 years ago, so 8 years ago. Sorry. So again, it's really hard to find information on something that happened 8 years ago, right? We got a eyeball. So this is something I'm just gonna mention it. It's not super funny, but still, talking about eyeball. Somebody was carrying eyeballs and is, for a fetish. The guy did talk about it, and it's just the fact that it comes from Ricky, so you don't know what to believe. And it's super funny. We have what? Oh yeah, they're talking about how Sharon Stone, even at her age, she went nude for a magazine for a good cause and how cool it was. And then the boys were talking about how they tried to get the perfect scene, the perfect moment, because in Intention, a movie Intention, Sharon Stone, when she was younger, she did a scene where she crossed her legs, and when she opened up her leg, you see and it was they were talking about how we tried to pause it to get a perfect scene to it, and then Ricky talked about how his father he caught him. So again, super cool. I know it seemed like I'm doing fast, but I realized that it's a 30-minute show. If I have more to say about the show, it looks bad for the boys, and I wanna I wanna promote the show, not make it look not good, right? The Queen, they were talking about how the queen, she made a bad joke about Diana, and there's this whole story about how the queen was possibly involved because Diana, she was very loved, but Diana, she was in the family, right? We got like a Meghan Markle situation, and the whole time the queen is like, oh, she's more loved than me, I should take care of her. So she made a bad joke about her death, which was super fucked up. But again, in Canada, on her $20 bill, there's a queen, so it means something. We got the Dragon Den. They're talking about how they have the sponsor who's supposed to take care of the show. They want to go on the Dragon Den to promote the show because again, they have sponsor and they're usually doing a show. And at episode three, already at episode three, they were doing really well, right? I don't know how they're doing right now, but at episode three, they were doing fantastic. So the fact that we have episode three and we're already able to say, oh well, we should go on Dragon Den to see if there's people that are interested in that doesn't mean anything. What I think it is because we know that there's a Dragon Den. Michael Wackerly is gonna take care of the podcast, so I think right away they were saying, "Oh, we're gonna talk with Dragon Den." So they were preparing the scene, which is kind of cool. They did that one in the episode 30 with a paper joint, and it didn't work out, so they stopped doing that. But usually, what they do is they'll announce that they're talking with somebody for the sponsor, just so it looks better, right? We have Lucy who's in love with Michael Wackerly, and it's funny because Ricky says, "Oh, they're all handsome," and the guy teases him about having said something a bit sussy, right? Sussy baka, and and it's kind of cool because they're teasing each other, and it's the boys. It's the what we want to see. We want to see the friendship, the relationship. You know, that's the best thing about the boys. Um, in love with Wackerly. Ricky, of course, is jealous because he has a beautiful hair, and he says, "If I had $1 million, I would have good hair like that." People are making fun of him. They talked about Kylie Jenner being offered a $10 million for a sex tape with Tyga, the rapper, and it's funny because. In a much later episode, they're saying that Kylie she listened to the show, so it's kind of cool that they went there, you know. And we have sex tape. Talking about how the podcast again they finished the episode with a third time explaining the podcast. A third time is a bit much to be quite honest. But hey, who am I to judge? I think it's kind of cool that they have to explain, and they're saying how big it's becoming is talking about the world, about space, and they're saying like podcast is super cool to see the boys excited about something. They talk about how in space they have Wi-Fi, so they could technically listen to the podcasts, right? And they talk about inviting a astronaut as a podcast. So this is why it's so good to rewatch them because they did invite Chris Hadfield and then came to the podcast. So everything they're talking about, and that was years later. So their manifestation is kind of incredible if you ask me. At the very end, they're talking about the dream guest. It's kind of cool because last episode we had a dream sponsor, now the dream guest, and Ricky's like Ricky Balboa, and Ricky Balboa is funny because it's a character. Julian brings up Ronda Rousey, and that's a good guest. Because Ricky's like, yo, if there's no guest, I'm not gonna do the podcast anymore. He said that's when I do without a guest because it's shitty, right? And then at the end, Ricky talks about how you can burn a Doritos bag. You're gonna eat up and it smells nice, so it's cheap. It's really cheap, like candle. And Bubbles like, oh, it's GMO, it's the corn, it's the grease. It's kind of cool that we get this little trick because I never tried it, but it probably works, right? And we get the chicken song, which is Luli 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 Chicken, and it's gonna be a big part of the next episode. So that was episode 3. Again, the boys did fantastic. I could do a review. I could do what my thought about the episode, but I just want to talk about the episode. I want to say how good it is. I just want to show love to the boys. It's not about me, it's about the boys. Love you guys. Peace.